What's up, YouTube? As you guys saw in the last video, I talked about making some other videos that would help people. And I wanted to start with some really basic stuff. As you guys know, sleep is a big part of everyone's life. Probably spend a third or at least a fourth of our life sleeping, if you're lucky, right? However, for many people, sleep is not easy to get. Or rather, good sleep is not easy to get. It's not easy to fall asleep for many people. Now, there are a few pieces of advice I want to give for people having problems sleeping, because I've talked to many of my clients, and even myself have had this problem. I live in a place with a lot of older people. I live in Florida. I live in a retirement type area, and there are a lot of people who are older who have lost a spouse or have lived a long life full of things they don't necessarily want to think about. I have a lot of clients who have hard days at work, have a hard day tomorrow, have a lot on their mind, and sleep is not something that comes easy to them. And I wanted to share with you guys what's helped me sleep, because I've had my own issues sleeping over my life. First off, typically I would recommend keeping the room that you're in as cold as possible. I'm not talking about 30 degrees, but somewhere between 65 and 75 would probably be ideal in most people's book. Some people like it a little bit warmer, some people like it a little bit on the colder side. I keep my house at around 70 when I sleep. It seems to work really well for me. Number two, a fan. I sleep with a fan blowing basically directly on my face. I'm a larger guy, I'm over 300 pounds. I have sleep apnea. I don't use a machine to help me breathe, so having fresh air on my face when I sleep is a huge positive for me. I highly recommend a fan. The sound is going to make it much easier to take your mind off things, much easier to get to sleep in my experience. And wind on your face, wind on you in general, is usually going to be a pretty huge positive for a lot of people. I also use an air purifier, very close by to me as well. It does blow air too, it works like a fan, and it also creates sound, helps better your quality of air and breathing during the night, which I also highly recommend. So a fan, cool, air purifier, sound, all huge positives for helping you get to sleep when you would be having a hard time sleeping due to whatever you're thinking about, something like that. There are things that other people use. I know a lot of people will drink before going to bed. They'll drink beer or something like that. Obviously, I don't think anyone should be drinking huge amounts every day. I do not see a problem with having something to drink, as long as it's not interfering with your life to a huge degree. But what I will tell you is, typically if you drink a few drinks before bed, you may find yourself getting to sleep easier, but waking up a few hours later whenever the alcohol wears off and being slightly more energetic. So if you are going to drink something before bed, if you're going to have a beer, 2 beers or something like that before bed, I would recommend keeping it there. I wouldn't recommend having too much to drink. Maybe 1 or 2 drinks might help. More than that, I have found to actually hurt. Whatever it is you drink, preferably something that's relatively healthy for you, like a dark beer, wine, or something like that, has helped people in the past and may help you. Again, if you have a problem with drinking, don't start drinking because I told you to. Only if it's something you can control. Valerian root extract works relatively well. I've used it before. I have some right now. It works decent. You will notice you are a little bit more calm, a little bit more sleepy, easier to fall asleep and stuff like that. 1 or 2 servings, which of this bottle is about a gram of this stuff, usually will do something helpful for you. Melatonin. Everyone knows about melatonin. 3 grams per serving, usually 6 to 9 grams is helpful as well. And you can use it with valerian root, which is helpful. Again, there are other sleeping medications that you can get prescribed, but some of them are habit forming, some of them will make it harder to sleep without them. Not everyone has insurance or wants to go to the doctor. So this stuff you can get at Walmart. The final thing I might recommend is Benadryl. Now, if you look at over-the-counter sleeping medications, they all have the active ingredient in Benadryl in them. So you can either get some sort of over-the-counter sleeping aid, or you can just go ahead and get Benadryl. I've found 1 to 3 capsules does quite a bit in getting you to sleep. And again, in my experience, these 3 things are something that can be taken together without a negative side effect. However, check with your doctor on those things, because I have no idea if that's okay for you. Maybe you're allergic to all 3 of those things, so be careful. I also highly recommend keeping some sort of water close by to your bed. If you're anything like me, you might be a mouth breather, you might just get thirsty in the night. Chances are you want to wake up, take a sip of something, make you feel a little bit better. I wake up and sip something probably like 10 times a night. It's not incredibly positive, but I wouldn't sleep as well without it. Now, if you are not going to drink a beer, which I do not necessarily recommend, what I have found to also help people sleep, help myself sleep, especially growing up as a child, is something warm. Obviously not caffeinated, but something hot to drink. Possibly tea, hot chocolate, or something like that is very helpful in getting you to go to sleep, especially if it's cold in your house and drinking something hot is relatively relaxing. So we've discussed things that you can do, have next to you, near you, that will help you sleep. Now, we have to discuss where exactly you're sleeping. If you sleep on a regular bed that isn't particularly anything nice, I highly recommend looking into getting a foam mattress topper. It makes the bed much more comfortable. Could double the value of your bed in my experience, because I sleep on a very, very typical, probably older mattress, and a foam mattress topper makes it very comfortable for me. So I highly recommend getting a foam mattress topper as well. Now, you may sleep with a pillow, various pillows. I recommend getting a foam pillow and a feather pillow. They both have their benefits. The feather pillow is easier to manipulate to get to fit the shape of your head. The foam pillow is going to be a little bit more resilient. I typically put the foam pillow below the feather pillow, and that helps me support my head in exactly the way I need it. I tend to sleep on my stomach and stuff like that, so having the pillow like kind of in the proper position for my head is very, very useful. You may also be the kind of person that sleeps on their side. I sleep on my side quite a bit. I never sleep on my back. If you sleep on your side and you're anything like me, you probably need something to put between your legs. So I have a body pillow here, which I highly recommend. Again, you can use a regular pillow, but if you get a body pillow, you're actually able to put your arm on it. My shoulders are a little bit broader than some people's, and if you're watching this, yours may be as well because you work out. So having something to prop your arm up against rather than completely rolling your shoulder over is going to be very helpful to your sleep, as well as keep your legs apart, which is very helpful as well. It's also going to keep you, to some degree, in a proper alignment in your shoulders instead of all hunched forwards, which can lead to tighter pecs, tighter shoulders, injuries, and stuff like that. Now, in terms of blanket, I highly recommend getting whatever blanket you feel is best. I tend to use something like this. It's very soft. It's very, very plush. It's very helpful for helping me get to sleep. In terms of light, some people like to sleep with the light on. For years, I liked to sleep with the light on. I found out recently I did not like to sleep with a light on. It helps keep your brain awake, for that matter, which is not an incredibly positive thing if you're thinking about things that you don't want to be thinking about, or if you're sleeping alone when you're not used to it, or something like that. So I highly recommend getting yourself these things, and keeping the light as little as possible. I have curtains that block out the light in my house. I have tacks that keep them in place, just so that when the sun does come up, in case I'm not getting up that early, it's not going to be in my face kind of thing and wake me up when I don't want to be kept awake. The other thing you can do is get something like this, something to put over your eyes, which is theoretically very helpful as long as it's comfortable and you're able to sleep like that. I'm not completely sure I'm in love with this thing. However, it is useful for keeping the light out of your eyes, and if that's one of the reasons you're staying awake, very helpful. In terms of preparing to go to sleep, a lot of people go to bed hungry, which is not very productive for sleep. So I recommend, again, possibly a warm drink, maybe heat up some milk, maybe heat up some hot chocolate. What I'll have a lot of my clients do is eat a heavier meal that keeps them full for longer. I'll usually have them eat a red meat meal with some kind of green vegetable and sweet potato, which will usually keep people full for longer into the night. What you can do though is you can have a little bit of peanut butter and milk right before bed, and even if you're dieting, as long as you moved your macros around a little bit, that should help you get to sleep. Even though it's a small amount of food, not a lot of calories, it should coat your stomach and allow you to sleep a little bit better than if you were just like starving to death, basically. Milk is really great at that. It's fantastic for making you not feel like you're starving to death, even if you are in a calorie deficit. Showering. It's usually helpful to take a shower or a hot shower or a hot bath before going to sleep. The process of your body cooling off afterwards, evaporation, is usually a very relaxing process, cooling, and you may find yourself feeling much fresher, much cleaner, and much healthier going to sleep. And that's usually a very helpful part of things as well. So basically, there's a few things you can take that I recommend. There's a few different types of pillows I recommend. Obviously your choice in blanket, everyone's a little bit different about what they like to use, but you guys have seen mine. In terms of light, blocking it out. In terms of sound, I find it very useful to have a fan blowing on my face with sound coming from that. I also use a little device that creates either like an ocean or a rainforest type sound or something like that to again alleviate your mind's ability to just sit and think about what's going on. Because I know a lot of people may have had a stressful day, they may be worried about tomorrow, they may be thinking of some sort of situation that happened to them or might happen to them, or they may be thinking about something, something like that, something stressful to them, and may not be able to sleep. Now, when you're going to sleep, your mind starts to work even harder. As you transition from thinking and being awake to being able to create complex dreams, your brain actually starts to function more, seemingly. Now, what I have a problem is my mind not being able to turn off when I want it to, and I understand that that's a lot of people's problems. And one of my best pieces of advice for that, more so than any of the other things necessarily, is to consciously control where your mind goes. Now, like I said, I live in a place where there are a lot of old people, a lot of older people I should say, a lot of retirees, 80, 90 and stuff like that. And many of them spent 60 years, they spent a long time with one person, and then they had to learn to go to sleeping on their own. And doing so, their mind is awake much more so. They think about things they don't want to think about. They miss people, they think of situations that happened to them before, possibly they were in the war, the army, whatever they might have gone through. They have flashbacks to things that they don't necessarily want to think about. And you really have to learn how to consciously control where your mind goes as you fall asleep to help ensure more positive dreams. My advice on that is it's going to be different for everyone, but to try and create a situation in your mind that is not only a happy and upbeat, pleasant and peaceful one, but one that takes conscious thought and creativity. Now, I'll give you an example. Imagine you're in a jungle, just a beautiful jungle. It's as far as the eye can see. You're high up, you're on some sort of plateau. All around you is woods and bushes and mountains and stuff like that. And in front of you is a river, and it's going straight for as long as your eyes can see. And on either side are huge rocks. Now, what I want you to do is imagine that for a second. Imagine you are standing in front of a river that goes as far as your eyes can see. It's covered in rocks and stuff like that. Now, imagine you have the ability to jump 20, 30, 40, 50 feet in the air. You can run 50 miles an hour, okay? You're able to jump from rock to rock, side to side, as you follow this river. Now, as you are thinking about this, you're able to actually consciously imagine each rock that you're jumping to. You're able to imagine the nooks in the river. You're able to imagine the trees, the animals, the sky, the sun, everything around you, you're consciously thinking about as you guide yourself up this peaceful river, if you will. And what that's going to do is it's going to put you in a more positive state of mind, and it's going to actively give your brain something to focus on and create as you go. Now, if you were to just sit and think of a pretty picture, for example, your mind could easily divert to something you don't want to think about. If you are to think about a pleasant, happy, peaceful, good situation that requires conscious thought to think about, you are essentially putting yourself into a dream state that is a positive one instead of a negative one. And your mind is not going to be able to think about negative things as much as it normally would be able to. What I like to do is just create any kind of situation that I can in my head that I find peaceful, I find relaxing, I feel like I'm going to be okay in. And I know this is not easy for many people because you may have a very hard situation in life. You may be worried about being homeless in a month. You may have been cheated on. You may have been in some sort of battle of some sort. You may have lost loved ones. Losing loved ones is one of the harder ones. Losing pets, losing spouses, brothers, sisters, parents, and at night, that's where your mind goes. Is what you could have said to them, what you could have done, how you could have prevented something, wishing, wanting, all these different things. And it's very hard to take your mind off those things and get to sleep and get the quality of sleep that you actually need. And that's why it's helpful to have a few different sleep aids, possibly melatonin, things that aren't bad for you or necessarily addictive, etc., as well as a very healthy sleeping environment with wind, sound, multiple sound sources, very comfortable, something that you're going to be able to stay in for a long period of time, as well as some sort of thought process that isn't incredibly negative. Because I know how hard it can be to deal with certain negative thoughts and stuff like that. It will not make those things go away, but it will allow you to deal with your sleep differently, because everyone needs some sort of quality of sleep. If you're not getting any kind of quality of sleep, you're not having any kind of day really the next day. And if that continues on, things can get worse, training can become worse, work can become worse, relationships can become worse, and you can find yourself in a much worse situation overall. So hopefully this has been relatively helpful for you guys. I've found it somewhat helpful for myself, as in the recent past I've had to focus on how to actually improve my sleep and actually get to sleep and stay asleep without thinking of something that I didn't want to think about or something negative. And hopefully this will help all of you. Even if you don't necessarily have something that's on your mind, this will help you get to sleep faster, it will help you get better sleep, it will help your progress in the gym, and it's going to be something that really helps out your quality of life in every way, if you ask me. As always, guys, thanks for watching my videos. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out musclemasochist.com for approved products, apparel, online coaching, and stuff like that. And stay tuned for more videos like this where I try and help you guys improve your quality of life overall, as well as get bigger and stronger and leaner and all of your fitness goals. Stay tuned for more, guys.